Welcome back. And I want to welcome Garnette Bane, who is an author, and she's brought some of her books to share with us. She's a very talented lady. And I picked this up. I wanted to start with this little book called Faithful. And it's the story of a minister who was a circuit rider. And it's a beautiful little book. And I love the cover, and I just want to share that with you. Garnette, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And you are a very talented person. You have been writing for how long? Should I ask?
Since 1959.
Okay. And you've written a variety of books, and
I've written biographies, hospital histories. Right now, I am writing for HPN, which is Historical Publishing Network out of San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I write corporate histories for them all over the U.S.
My goodness. So you're a busy lady. And this one, I'm going to hold this up. This is the America in World War II.
And these are first-person stories that I write. And, of course, there aren't too many World War II people still living who fought in the war.
Remember, and were a part of that.
And I have found several here in Greenville, and they've since passed. But one was a young man who lived in St. Louis, and at 7 years of age, his father took him to see their first airplane. And it turned out to be Charles Lindbergh. And so Victor Feenup was the pilot. He made up his mind then as a young boy that he would become a pilot. And he did, and he was shot down over Paris in World War II, captured for 2 years, went through the death march and prisons, and it's just horrible what all he had to say. And I was asked by Jim DeMint to do a tape of him, an interview for the Library of Congress. So luckily we accomplished all of that prior to his passing. But he was a wonderful human being.
So this America in World War II, you have articles that appear.
Right, first-person stories. I was there. I write there, I was there column occasionally.
So you actually have had the privilege of those people who are still living, of talking to them about their experiences.
Exactly, exactly.
And this, I had never seen this, America in
It's
World
on the
War
newsstand. It's at Barnes & Noble.
Barnes and Noble would have it, but this is American history.
Right.
That while these people are still with us, and and very few left.
Right. Exactly.
That's a privilege for you.
Oh,
to be able
it was an honor to meet these
them,
people,
and then to leave this for us and for people who.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the men, the American Legion, gave me a name when they said, "Can you write me a story?" And so I said, "Do you have anybody that?" That you run into a lot of problems that they can't hear or they can't remember. And they said, yeah, we have someone that we think would be good. And it was a man in Simpsonville. And I walked into his house, set up an appointment, walked into his house. And the first thing he asked me is, are you from Greenville? And I said, no, I'm from Virginia. Why? Well, we're from Virginia. And I said, well, he said, where? And I said, from Roanoke, but actually Salem. He said, I went to Andrew Lewis High School. Did you have Miss Annie McConkey? And I said, yes. And he graduated in 1943, and I graduated later, of course. And so I interviewed him. It was great. And it was, going back and interviewing somebody that served in World War II. The interesting thing about him is he was a prisoner of war on 3 different occasions.
Oh, no.
Managed to escape and was caught every time.
And he has since passed away?
No, he's still living.
He's here in this in the upstate.
Mm-hmm.
We need to cherish these people and their stories.
Exactly.
Because once they're gone, we don't have that living link to what really happened.
Exactly.
So this is available. These books,
that's
World War II,
at Barnes and Noble, any bookstore.
In most bookstores, I guess.
Right. Mm-hmm.
America in World War II. So if you're interested in the Second World War or the history or the people involved, you can check that out. And you have written articles for this
Right.
publication. And then I want to show this. I think this is beautiful. Historic Greenville. Now, well, you can say that's a coffee table book, and I guess it is.
And that's what we write.
But it also has a lot of facts about Greenville.
Now, Judith Bainbridge is a historian and writes for the paper.
Yes.
She did the main story in that, and then I did all of the corporate stories,
It's
which
just-
includes Flora, the Greenville Hospital System, anybody who wanted to participate just about.
I want to show this. I love the cover, and this is a simple little, I guess, paperback. You could
A softback book.
Yeah, and it's called Faithful. Now, tell me about this book.
Well, I started this book probably 20 years ago just as a fluke and didn't put it away because I was busy working for someone else and busy with a career. And what I found out, there's more to it than just doing a genealogy. There's a story that begins with my great-grandfather, who was a Methodist circuit rider around the Appalachian Mountains in Virginia. And you think about dirt roads in the 1800s and going from little church to little church to little church to preach the gospel. And I found photographs of him witnessing to some men at a little wooden church. I found photographs of him on Trixie, his horse. It spans an era where his family has a lot of hardship. He has a lot of hardship. People pass away and how he handles this. One of the protagonists beside him is his second daughter, and she falls in love, but he keeps them apart for a little while. And eventually they do marry, and after a year, my father was born, and my grandmother died at 21, exactly 1 month later. And so he would come to the minister's house because they kept my father, and they said, you can come, since you work out of town, you can come back and visit. And so there's an interesting second love story that develops there. And then my great-grandfather, on a very cold and windy day, was in Pulaski, Virginia, in the train station to warm. And he's noticed a little girl sitting in the train station. And he mentioned to the train master, who is she? And he says, Rosa is all I know. And she doesn't know her last name, and she's been here several days. And my great-grandfather just couldn't put his arms around that. And he said, I'm going to take her home with me, and if her parents come for her, you tell them she's safe and where they can find her. Many, many years passed, they never came, and they never came. But when I went back in August to do the book signing...
this little girl was sitting in a train station, and nobody ever claimed her?
That's right. She was abandoned, and so eventually my great-grandparents raised her. And then when she married, we knew her family, and they were very poor, and we took them something every Christmas. The interesting thing of it is in August when I was back to do a book signing, that girl drove down probably several hours to meet me to do a book signing and asked me if I could help her find her father, that she had found a name. And he is now deceased, but what we learned or what we think we know is probably her mother and father were never married.
And
but
that was,
she
of
is
course, many
so
years
grateful
ago.
for that book.
Yeah. You never know, do you? The person that you're going to meet.
That's right.
And how our lives can help one another.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you have many books, beautiful books, that are, I try to show some of these. Historic Washington County.
And that's in Maryland.
In Maryland.
And I have the biography.
Basically, you love history, and you delve into writing about history. And this one here, what is this one?
This is the whole story of the oil and gas industry in Louisiana. And when I started writing
This is a heavy
that,
book.
I knew nothing about oil and gas, all of the terminology, the acronyms. And I went online and I said, print out basically the acronyms for the oil and gas industry, because on first mention you have to spell everything out and then you can abbreviate. So,
And here's one, King Cotton.
and that is a book on all of the technology and all in that part of the country.
So you have to do a lot of research when you do these books.
I
And
do
then-
some, not all that
And
much.
then I love this. Historic Greenville. I love this.
We are hoping to do one on manufacturing for the entire state, and we may know about April whether or not that one will march.
But this is about our city
It is.
and the history and the people, and it's a beautiful book. It would make a lovely gift. These books, I guess, are available.
Most of them,
through
if they're
Amazon?
not locally, they are online,
Uh-huh.
and they are available through Amazon.
Okay, okay. And of course, we have Garnette, Garnette1 at bellsouth.net. That's it, right?
Right.
But this one, this little book, I love the cover.
And there's one other that you might like.
I
You
admire
might
somebody who can
remember?
do this.
You
In
s-
my wildest dreams, the
Dr.
life
J.
story
Floyd
of
Hall.
J. Floyd Hall. So you've done a lot
Of
that
different types
has,
of writing.
but centered in this
This area.
area.
Yeah.
So if you have a particular interest in this part of the United States or in history, these books would be worth investigating. And Garnette Garnette1 at bellsouth.net. And these books are available on Amazon. You can check it out. But I think it takes a very dedicated, talented person to do things of real value that we can research and look back when we need information. Merry Christmas,
Merry Christmas.
Garnette Bane. Well, we can take a deep breath now and get back to what we need to be doing to get ready for the holidays. And we'll see you next time.